when I think about hashtag we did that, and that's what I use here. Here we go to my iPad, because I asked the White House, tell me exactly what you actually accomplished in 3.5 years for African Americans. I need everybody listening. I'm just going to go through this here. So they sent me, achieved lowest black unemployment rate on record, created 2.4 million jobs for black workers as of August 2024, lifted 400,000 black children out of poverty by increased SNAP benefits through updating the Thrifty Food Plan. Who wants to actually cut the SNAP program? Republicans. Grew black American business ownership at the fastest rate in over 3 decades. Tripled the number of SBA-backed loans to black-owned businesses. Awarded a record $10 billion in federal contracts to black-owned small businesses in 2023. Invested more than $16 billion in HBCUs. Secured a $900 increase to the maximum Pell Grant Award, largest increase in the past 10 years. And here's the piece. That Pell Grant money is actually in addition to the HBCU money. Then approved the cancellation of almost $170 billion in student loan debt, rooted out racial bias in home appraisals, and closed the black-white home valuation disparity gap by 40%. And you'll hear me talk to Vice President Harris about that. Reduced mortgage insurance premiums for FHA loans, saving 76,000 black households $900 a year. Cut costs for high-speed internet to 5.5 million black households with the Affordable Connectivity Program. Distributed $2.2 billion in financial assistance to over 43,000 farmers who experienced discrimination. And of course, Stephen Miller, Trump's white nationalist, sued to stop the money that was allocated to black and Hispanic farmers. Led a historically equitable economic recovery. Black wealth, even after adjusting for inflation, is up 60% to pre-pandemic levels, the largest increase on record. Ending health disparities. It says right here, lowered premium costs by an average of $800 for millions of Americans, increasing black enrollment in Affordable Care Act coverage by 95%, more than 1.7 million people since 2020. That specifically impacts black men and their health. Lowered monthly premiums for health insurance, capped the cost of insulin at $35 and out-of-pocket drug costs at $2,000 for those on Medicare, announced the first 10 prescription drugs for Medicare price negotiation, saving some $1.5 billion, made sickle cell disease the first focus of the new Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services model, expanded Medicaid postpartum coverage from 60 days to 12 months in 46 states and Washington, D.C., covering 700,000 more women in the year of childbirth, secured an additional $1.5 billion for a Head Start, delivered $1 billion to more than 40 states to increase the number of school-based mental health professionals, signed 2 executive orders directing the federal government to address inequality, protected black history as American history, signed the Juneteenth National Independence Day Act, designated Springfield 1908 Race Riot and Emmett Till and Mamie Till Mobley National Monuments, signed the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act to classify lynching for the first time as a federal hate crime, worked to protect the sacred right to vote through executive actions, and continued calls for legislation, appointed the first black woman to the Supreme Court. There are more black women federal circuit court and more black women to federal circuit courts than all previous presidents combined, and more black judges appointed in a single term, more than any other president in American history. Signed an executive order on police reform when Senate Republicans blocked the George Floyd Justice Act. Signed into law the first bipartisan Safer Communities Act. Secured $350 million in funding specifically for community violence intervention programs. Pardoned thousands of Americans under federal and D.C. law for simple possession of marijuana. Helped bring crime to its lowest level in 50 years, lower than during any year of the previous administration. And what's not in here, I'll add, that was one pattern practice investigation, Renita, under Trump, 12 under Biden-Harris. Donald Trump executed 13 people in 6 months on the federal level, 0 under Biden-Harris. Then, when you look at the Department of Justice, mortgage discrimination, settlements with various people, putting former cops in prison for beating black people, jailers and wardens, exact same thing, investigations and action against various juvenile programs in Texas, as well as investigating prison conditions in Mississippi, South Carolina, Georgia, and on. Now, my criticism of the Biden-Harris administration is that this stuff was not constantly touted over the last 3.5 years. But I can't act like it didn't happen.